ask yourself 2 questions every evening, okay? What went well today, and what can I do differently tomorrow? Now, what I love about those questions is that they are self-reflective questions that help you make positive changes, but in a very compassionate way. Those questions aren't about beating yourself up or making yourself feel bad. Not at all. They're the absolute opposite of that. They very kindly encourage you to reflect on how your day went. Now, the first question, I think, is a lovely question. What went well today? Now, it doesn't matter how bad you think your day was today or on any given day. I'm pretty sure that for most of you, there was at least one thing that went well. Maybe on your way to work and let's say you had a bad day at work, maybe the barista smiled at you and made you a really nice coffee and said something nice. And you thought, wow, that's a really good coffee, right? Could be anything. Maybe someone helped you out on a work project. Even though you didn't meet your deadline and you were working till 7 p.m., maybe someone did that for you. Or maybe it is that you're a busy parent, right? And you came home late and you were tired and stressed. You still found 20 minutes to make you and your children a healthy home-cooked meal, right? I think it's really important to celebrate these things and recognize what did go well, because many people feel overwhelmed these days, right? We know from the increasing levels of burnouts that many people are really, really struggling. So you could overly focus on the things that didn't go well, okay? And the human brain has a negativity bias. We are wired to look at what's not good, because over time, over thousands of years, that's what would have kept us alive, right? But today, we need new skills. We need to focus on what went well. So that's why I like that first question, what went well today? It gives you a bit of confidence and it reminds you that something goes well every single day. Now, the second question really is the question that helps you implement change in your life. What can I do differently tomorrow? Now, I love that question. It's a very kind question, but it's kindly and compassionately encouraging us to grow and become better, right? By learning from what didn't go so well. So it could be, for example, that today you've been craving sugar and caffeine all day because you were knackered. And maybe on reflection, you realize that last night, because you had a stressful day at work, once your kids were in bed, you had a couple of glasses of wine and you stayed up late watching box sets, right? I get it. I understand. Many people do that. But because you drank alcohol, because you went to bed at midnight, when your alarm went off at 6:30, you're a bit groggy, you were underslept, and because of what happened the night before, that's why you crave sugar and caffeine all day, and that's why you're a bit snappy with your kids. Okay, right? We want to be kind to ourselves. We don't want to look back on the past with guilt or shame. It's never helpful. But this question doesn't ask you to do that. This question is very kind. It's asking you to go, well, why did that happen? How can I do this differently tomorrow? So the learning there could be, even if today is really stressful, or even more so if today is stressful, I absolutely must not stay up even later to unwind. I must make sure that I get my rest and that I go to bed on time. Because if I get 7 or 8 hours sleep, I'm going to crave less caffeine tomorrow. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to crave less sugar. And I'm going to be a nicer person to be around. Okay, 2 simple questions. What went well today? What can I do differently tomorrow? And I promise you, right, if you get in the habit of asking yourself those 2 questions every single evening, before you know it, your life will be different. I know because I've done it and I've seen it with so many of my patients over the years. It's really, really simple to do. Now, with all habits, you need to think about where are you going to put it into your life. If you just think it's going to happen because you set the intention, I think it's unlikely. So if you think you want to try those 2 questions every day, think about when you're going to do it. Maybe it's straight after your kids go to bed if you have kids. Maybe it's when you get into your bed. Maybe there's a journal next to your bed that you keep there, or a notebook and a pen. And when you go into bed, as part of your wind down routine, it's like, this went well, this is what I can do differently tomorrow. Or it could be at any time. I don't know what's best in your life because I don't know your life, right? But I do know that those questions work. They're very, very effective, but you have to figure out when and where you're going to answer them. The third daily habit that I know will transform your life is to walk every day. Now, I know this sounds simple, but walking really is a superpower, and it's a superpower that you probably didn't know you had. Right? To walk is to be human, right? We are uniquely designed to be able to walk and to be able to walk for some quite long distances, right? We know that across society, we're not moving enough. We know that physical inactivity is one of the leading causes of early death across the world, increasing our risk of cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes, dementia, type 2 diabetes, and the list goes on. But when we think about movement, we make it really, really difficult. We talk about running marathons and running 10Ks and getting to the gym 4 times a week for an hour. Hey, I've got nothing against those things, right? If you've got the inclination and the time and the motivation, those things for some people can be great. But by putting our focus there, we forget one of the most effective forms of movement for us as humans is to walk. We spend so much energy when we're babies learning how to walk, right? Once you've got that skill, you don't want to lose it. You want to keep using it for as long as you can. Now, here's the thing people don't realize about walking, okay? Let's say you, every lunchtime, go for a 15-minute walk, okay? I think that's achievable for many people. What does that do? Walking helps to lower your stress levels and balance your nervous system, right? How many people these days are stressed and are frazzled with how much they have to do? Walking helps you lower that stress. Okay, there's many studies on this and what it will do to the state of what we call your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So walking helps you reduce stress. Walking helps you be more creative and helps you focus better when you come back. It's a break, right? It's a break from your work where your mind can wander. And one of the things that happens when you walk, especially if you're not staring at your phone at the same time, is that a part of your brain called the DMN, the default mode network, kicks into action. That part of the brain does many things, but 2 of the things it does, right? It helps you be more creative and it helps you to solve problems. So imagine this scenario. You're at your desk at lunchtime and you've been working for hours and you can't solve a problem, or you've got a deadline and you're trying to push through. A lot of us don't break. We keep going. We keep pushing away trying to solve that problem, thinking that somehow we're going to manage it. Now, you may manage it, but a lot of the time, if you just took a break, went for a 15-minute walk, your brain would solve the problem for you. When you're not focused on a task, your DMN kicks into gear and will start to try and solve problems for you. So it's really, really effective for that. Are you tired of waking up exhausted even when you've technically had enough sleep? Do you feel like you're constantly doing everything right, yet you still feel stuck? You're not broken, you're just running the wrong habits. I've taken everything I've learned from helping thousands of patients and boiled it down into 5 tiny daily habits that can transform your life in just 30 days. No overwhelm, no pressure, just small shifts that reset your energy, mood, and mind. If you're ready to stop surviving and start feeling like yourself again, download my free guides now. Just click on the first link in the description box below or scan the QR code on screen. You've got absolutely nothing to lose except the version of you that's been running on empty for far too long. Walking is also incredibly beneficial for your mental health. Right? Walking for just 10 minutes a day lowers your risk of depression. That is remarkable. Mental health problems are on the rise, and even 10 minutes of walking can have a positive effect. Again, I want to bring home this idea that we make things so difficult. Health and happiness is a lot simpler than we think. But it's about these small daily habits that we do consistently that over time determine the quality of our lives. And people who walk every day are happier and they're healthier. Now, there's other benefits of walking as well, right? A lot of us these days are sat down at desks or in cars, right? And our body is just not moving. But movement is not just about our physical health or our fitness. The organs in your body need walking to pump everything around, blood and lymph. In fact, I've got patients, right, who struggle with their gut and constipation, and I didn't need to change their diet. I just needed to encourage them to walk for 20 or 30 minutes every day, and their gut function will often improve. Because when you walk, your upper and your lower body rotate and you start to compress organs. That's how we're designed to be. We're not meant to be sedentary. Walking really is a uniquely human activity that has so many benefits. I really want to encourage you to figure out how can you implement walking in your life for the next 30 days and take that as a challenge, right? If you are skeptical, you think walking doesn't count, right, I challenge you. Could you, in your life right now, find time for a walk every day for the next 30 days? Could you fit it in the morning, before breakfast, maybe at lunchtime, maybe when you come home? And if you don't believe me of the life-changing benefits of walking every day, I would say try it. Give me 30 days, commit to it, do it. And then at the end of those 30 days or throughout, ask yourself, what difference are you feeling? Do you find yourself less stressed? Do you find yourself more creative? Do you find yourself calmer, more focused? Do you find that you're sleeping better, that you're less constipated, that your gut function is improving? Make a note, because when you start to draw those connections in your mind between your behaviors and how you feel, that's when you really start to lock it into your brain. And that's how you start to turn these new behaviors into automatic long-term habits. The next daily habit I want you to think about introducing into your life is all about connection. Can you make sure that you are connecting properly with another human being at least once a day? Now, this is really, really important for your happiness and your mental well-being, sure, but also for your physical health. But we know that levels of loneliness are rising all across the world. And there's a certain irony, isn't there? With all this modern technology, with all the connection we can have online, many humans have never felt this isolated and alone. And we know from the scientific research that the feeling of being lonely may be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes per day. Right? We know that people who feel lonely are more likely to die earlier than people who don't. In fact, I recently spoke to Vivek Murthy on my podcast, the Surgeon General in America, the most senior medical doctor in the United States. And he shared with me that we need to start recognizing that loneliness has an impact on our health comparable to that of being obese. I mean, that's huge. So if I'm thinking about habits that are going to help us all, I have to think about a habit that's going to help us connect with others. It's far too easy these days to stay at home and do everything on Zoom and do your shopping from your house, right? And not connect with another human being. But we are social animals. We need connection. It helps us with our physical health and our mental well-being. Okay, so how are we going to do this? But when I think of connections, I think of those close, intimate connections we might have and those connections in our community. Maybe not as close, but also just as important. So if I take my life as an example, I'm married and I've got 2 kids. Let's talk about my marriage for a moment. Okay, like many couples these days, we often find ourselves quite busy with work and with our children and after-school activities. So it is very, very easy for days to pass where you feel like passing ships. Where sure, you lived in the same place, in the same house, but perhaps didn't see each other properly or as much as you would like to. And I know many, many parents face this. I've had so many patients over the years tell me, and this is often the cause of friction in relationships. So I have a very simple practice that I do with my wife. on most evenings, not every evening, but it's called the 5-minute tea ritual. It's dead easy. It basically means that once our kids have gone to bed, before we do anything else, emails, chill out, watching something, read, whatever we might want to be doing, we come to our kitchen, we make some mint tea, and we sit there and chat. And the goal is just to catch up, find out about each other, how our days went. So that 5-minute tea ritual is our safety net. It means that we both know, even if we're busy, that we're committing to 5 minutes each day. Now, sometimes those 5 minutes become 30 minutes, but on other days, it is just 5 minutes. That's completely okay. But we've nourished ourselves with those 5 minutes. And again, I'm passionate about this. And my third book was called Feel Better in 5. I wrote all about the power of 5-minute habits. Right? 5 minutes can do a lot. Remember, you brush your teeth for 4 minutes a day, 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening. That's 4 minutes. You know that those 4 minutes each day look after your dental health for life. And I'm making the case that you can apply that principle to many other aspects of your life. And in this context, we're talking about relationships. Those 5 minutes that me and my wife commit to each day, they nourish our relationship. When we're doing it regularly, we're closer. We just feel more connected with each other. And when we let it slip, you can start to feel the distance start to build up. So again, a very simple thing, you can also apply that to your kids, right? I genuinely believe that when we think about time with our loved ones, we need to think about the quality of the time as opposed to the quantity. Now, sure, if you can have both, that's wonderful, quantity and quality. But if I was to choose, I would choose quality. 10 minutes of intentional time with my kids when they come home from school where they feel heard, they feel seen, I paid them attention, I listened and responded. Compare that to 1 hour of distracted time where you're sort of half checking your emails and social media whilst also chatting. I mean, this goes beyond kids, this happens in relationships as well. I really think that attention, that focus on quality is so important. And perhaps that 5-minute tea ritual or some sort of variation of that is something you can introduce into your own life. Now, as well as connection with the people close to us, let's not forget about connections with strangers as well, or people in our wider community. They're also very important. We know that these kind of simple interactions with the person at the supermarket who's serving us, or the barista at the coffee shop, or the Amazon delivery driver, those little interactions are also really, really important. They give you a little shot of connection at regular times in the day. And we know that there's a part of your brain called the sociometer. It's a network of systems that is constantly scanning the world around you for threat. And every time you get a positive social interaction, frankly, with anyone, but also with strangers, right? A nod, a smile, a nice word. You basically tell the sociometer that the world around you is safe. And that really helps you with your self-esteem, your self-worth, and how you see the world around you. So talking with strangers is also very, very important. And there's a lot of scientific research to support this. Right, so how can you do that? Well, maybe you consider yourself an introvert, someone who finds it hard. Okay, that's fine. We know that it's still going to help you, right? Maybe you go to a coffee shop each day and you don't say anything to the barista. You just take your coffee and quietly go off and sit and read or whatever you might do. Could you make eye contact, right? Could you smile? Could you say, hey, thanks so much. That was a lovely coffee. You start small. It's like with anything, like working out, you start small and build up, right? When the Amazon delivery driver comes round, could you just look them in the eye and say, hey, thanks so much? You think about the impact that's going to have on that driver. He's probably rushing around trying to meet his or her quotas, right? It has a positive impact on them, and it also has a positive impact on you. So this daily habit of connection is both about in your own home life and in your wider life with your community. In the past, when you were living in your hunter-gatherer tribe, you would have connected with others each day. You needed others to help you and be there for you, and you also needed to be there for them. It would have happened. But today, it is possible to be so busy and distracted that you don't pay attention to the important things, right? If you go for a walk every day, if you take me up on that challenge, right? What about on that walk and you pass people? Can you look at them, smile? Can you say, hey, how you doing? It's about those little social interactions that send your brain a very powerful signal that the world around me is safe, I'm okay. The fifth and final habit I want you to consider introducing into your life is to have a strength workout every day. Now, this doesn't need to be complicated, okay? You don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to join a gym. You don't even need to spend any money, right? This is what I do in my life every day, and I've been doing it for years, and it keeps me really fit and strong. Now, you've got to understand that once you hit 30, you start to lose muscle mass every year unless you're doing something about it, right? So it's important that you do something about it because your lean muscle mass, how much muscle you have on your body, is one of the most important predictors of how well you're going to be as you age. We lose muscle mass as we age, but the more we can hold on to, the better we're going to be. So it's really, really important. And as I've just said, it starts quite early. At the age of 30, it starts happening. Now, a lot of people get put off. They think they have to join gyms. And I'm not against joining a gym or getting a personal trainer if you have access to one and can afford it. But you don't need to. There's so much you can do yourself if you know what to do, right? So how I do it, and I'm going to share this with you in case it gives you ideas for your life, but this is also the method I've taught to many of my patients over the years, right? Is in the morning, or frankly at any time in the day, but for me it works in the morning, what existing habit do you have in your life where you can stick on a strength workout to? That's quite important, right? Whenever you want to bring in a new behavior into your life and turn it into a long-term habit, you've got to follow a few rules, right? That make it easier for you. And one of the rules you want to follow is you want to stick on that behavior onto an existing habit. So an existing habit is something you do automatically without giving it any thought. So for me, one of my habits is I make coffee in the morning, right? I don't need a reminder. No, I'm going to make it. It's a habit. Therefore, I have an opportunity. If I stick my strength workout on there, it's much more likely it's going to happen. So in the morning, pretty shortly after I've woken up, I do a few things as part of my morning routine, right? But one of the things is I put the coffee on, I put a timer for 5 minutes, and in those 5 minutes, whilst I'm in my pajamas, I do a strength workout. Now that's changed over the years. It used to be just body weights, some press-ups, some lunges, some calf raises, some tricep dips, okay, some very simple bodyweight exercises. But these days I also have a kettlebell in my kitchen, I have a dumbbell in my kitchen, so sometimes I'll vary it up. But the point is, whilst my coffee brews, I do some form of strength training for 5 minutes. I don't look at email, I don't go on Instagram, I get my workout done. Right, now why is that so important? Well, it's important for this reason. It means that every day I'm showing myself that I'm important, right? That I show myself that no matter how busy I got, I still found 5 minutes to work on my strength, which is good for my body and my mind. Now, it's not 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. There's nothing wrong with that. If you've got time to do that, that's great. But the problem is, for many people, it's too much. And then we start to make excuses. We say, I didn't have time. I didn't have 20 minutes, so I did nothing. I take a slightly different approach. I say, make it small, both with myself and with my patients. Make it small. And if you have extra time, do more. But the minimum requirement is 5 minutes. And I tell you, it's changed my life. It's just a part of my life as brushing my teeth is. I don't have to think about it. It's just what I do. It's become a habit, an unconscious habit, because I've done it so often at the same time in my day. What you actually choose to do in those 5 minutes is not really the most important thing. The most important thing is that you do something, right? What are your favorite strength moves? Have you been to classes in the past? Yoga, Pilates, gym, right? It could be something like skipping if you prefer, right? Skipping ropes are pretty cheap. Most of us know how to skip, or we certainly did when we were at school. It's great for your cardiovascular fitness, for your muscles, for your tendons. It could be that you do skipping. It's not about what you do, it's about doing something. Right? And I've done this with so many patients who told me they couldn't afford a gym, they didn't have time to work out, and I helped them choose 5 exercises that would only take them 5 minutes, and they did it in their kitchen, often in their pajamas. Now, why am I mentioning pajamas so much? Because I make it easy. That's why I do it. If I had to get changed, put on my outfit, put on my shoes, right? It's another obstacle in the way. It might mean I say, oh, I don't have time today. But because I do it in my pajamas, I made it easy. I can never say I don't have time. So I really want you to think about that. I think it's one of the most life-changing things I do in my own life, for my strength, for my physical fitness, for my mood, for my brain health, but most importantly, for how I feel about myself. And that's the gold here. When you start doing these things daily, when you do a strength workout every day, right? You're showing up for yourself. You're saying to yourself, I can rely on you. I can trust you because you're always making time, right? So give that a go. And honestly, if you think 5 minutes is too much, do 1 minute. 1 minute of skipping for the next 30 days, right? At the same time every day. I guarantee you're going to feel differently about your life and you're going to be healthier. If you enjoyed that conversation, then I think you are really going to enjoy this one.
We live in an age of rings and pings and dings and app notifications, social media alerts. We're rewiring our brains. Technology is a tool for us to use, but if technology is using us, then we become the tool, right?